Hello makers, and welcome to the 12 Days of Christmas with Sheer Stitchery. I'm Catherine Harris, and today is day 2 of the 12 Days of Christmas, and we're going to be making these really cute card baskets. It even has some wire on the back, so you can actually attach it into your Christmas tree, or you can hang it on a shelf just to hold some of these nice little cards. So let's get to it. For materials, you'll need a wire basket, a Christmas pick, hot glue, textured cardstock, chalk paint, both gray and white, fabric, I chose gingham and canvas, some brown paint, wire to hang, and some wooden letters. So let's start with our basket. So to get the pattern for the fabric, you're going to want to trace all sides of the basket. So the short side, the long side, and the bottom. And you're going to turn that into a pattern. So you see how I traced around it? There's a little bit of a seam allowance as well on the edge, and I've got a larger seam allowance along the top because I want to fold it over eventually. So you're going to want to cut 2 pieces of the sides in both your gingham and canvas, and 1 piece of your bottom in both gingham and canvas. So we're going to start working with the sides to build up the structure of our basket. So for this demonstration, I'm going to use the canvas. And so you're going to attach the short side to the long side, and then the short side to the long side on the other side, and then the final short piece goes in attaching to both long sides. So this is how you would place it together. I'm kind of trying to demonstrate how those pieces would lay. It's fairly simple. But just make sure that you're not stitching a long side to a long side or a short side to a short side when you're doing it. So sometimes laying it out like this might help a little bit. So now I am just going to pin this in place. I'm just using 2 pins, one at the top and the bottom, because the seam is so short. If you feel like you need to use more pins, by all means do so. But I'm just going and putting right sides together, and then finally attaching it so it forms a circle. And we're going to take that to the sewing machine and get that stitched. So you're going to want to backstitch at the top and bottom of each of these, and just keep going around all sides so you get all 4 sides. And I use a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. It's what I put on my pattern. It's the edge of my presser foot, and I find that that works quite well. And now you have our finished sides to the basket box. So we're going to put the bottom in. So the way we attach the bottom is we're going to line up the small sides together and making sure that it is right sides together. And you don't need to pin this, but then when you get to the corner, you put your needle down in the area where the corner joins on the 2 side pieces, lift up your presser foot, and then flip the fabric that is on the bottom, so your bottom square, so that it lines up to the next side, which is our first long side that we're going to stitch. So we'll see that one more time, and then just spin the fabric around. Make sure you put your presser foot down, and you'll do the same. I thought I'd extend the view out so you can kind of see how that basket is forming, and at the beginning and end, also backstitch. And so that is how that looks now that it's all stitched together. And the next thing you're going to do is you're going to clip the corners, just because we don't want a lot of bulk in the corners when we go to flip this out, and canvas is a heavier fabric. Next, you're going to do the exact same thing with your gingham or your inside fabric, and then you're going to place them right sides together. And I'm just matching up each of the corners here, and I'm pressing out, just finger pressing the seam allowances so you don't have a ton of bulk in that. And then you're going to stitch all the way around, leaving an opening along one of the long edges. So once that is stitched, you are going to flip it right side out. And it takes a little bit of finesse. Make sure you go around and I pull out all of the seams to make sure it looks pretty good. Next, we're going to take it to the ironing board and we are going to press it. So you want to press this with the edge of the inside fabric rolled just slightly over the canvas on the outside. And making sure to press quite nicely where we have that opening. Now we're going to hand stitch the opening closed using a ladder stitch. If any of you would like a tutorial on how to do a ladder stitch, just leave it in the comments section down below and I'd be happy to help you out. And now that we've got that set in place, we're going to put that into our basket. And so you can see I'm just folding over the edges here. Now originally I was going to sew the edges in place, but then I thought, you know what? Hot glue will work for this just fine. And I'm first tacking all of the corners, and then after I've tacked the corners, I'm going around to all of the long edges and adding glue along all of the edges so that it's nice and taut. And so I'll just show you the front of the basket here. So I'm starting here in the middle, and then I'm going to add more glue along each of the edges. And now the fabric won't come off the basket. Now alternately, you could do a drawstring on this, but I thought it looked a little nicer and neater without that. Next, we're going to add our Christmas pick in, and I'm just weaving it along the bottom row. And now I'd like to position it with some hot glue so that my pine cone is sticking a little more upright. So you're going to add in some hot glue here and there along the Christmas pick just to make sure that it lays exactly as you want it. So I'm even pulling some of the greenery around to the side just to give it a bit more depth. Now comes the cardstock. I have already painted this with a gray chalk paint, so it is dry, and I'm just dry brushing on the brown acrylic. And because the cardstock is textured, it gives a nice look when you do the dry brushing. I'm using some areas where it's a little bit heavier because I want it to stand up and feel a little bit rustic. So I've used these wooden letters and I've already painted them with white chalk paint, and I'm going to arrange them on the card. You will notice I did trim the card down from the original size. The original size was about the size of a business card, and I decided that I liked it a little bit more narrow with just a little gap above the letters here. You can do 2 rows of letters. If you're doing it, maybe it might say something like Harris Family. That would be really nice as well. Next, I'm just going to attach it with hot glue. So I'm just choosing where exactly I'd like my card sign to be. And then I'm adding some hot glue just along the wire on the first 2 rows of wire. And then I am placing that down. And then to get the final row of wire along the end, I'm just adding some hot glue there. So there you have it. A cute little basket that you can hold all your Christmas cards and special little notes in. And you can even put it inside your Christmas tree. So thanks for joining in to share Stitchery on our second day of the 12 days of Christmas. If you like this video, please don't forget to give a like down below. And if you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And until next time, guys, Merry Christmas, and let's get our Sew-Spiration on.